How did you cut? And just break that down for viewers why that's so important.
Yeah, and just as a bit of background, you may recall we had a period of time. Things have improved over the last, say, half year to a year. But we went through a period of time over the last 3 or 4 years where South Carolina's unemployment rate was real high. I mean, it was 6.5% to 7%. At a time when the national unemployment rate was dropping from say 5.5% to about 4.5%. So we had this period where, and this was through 03, 04, 05, and 06, where South Carolina's jobless rate really looked pretty ugly. So I was trying to figure out why is that? I mean, we have an economy that's generating jobs. We have an economy that is producing pretty solid tax revenue growth and retail sales and construction and so on, and yet we have this unemployment rate that's pretty high. So you start to dig into, that's sort of what economists do. We observe these peculiarities
out there. Try to break it down
and we try to get into that and say, a lot of folks are talking about the fact that our unemployment rate is high. Let's try to figure out why that is. And when I started looking at the numbers, it became pretty clear pretty quick that what was driving that unemployment rate staying high was we had tremendous labor force growth into South Carolina. Now, what the labor force is, a bit of a primer, I guess, we think of, a lot of people will think of the labor force as all the people that are working, but it's all the people that are either working or actively looking for work. That's the labor force. So if you have a job, you're in the labor force. If you don't have a job, but you're looking for one, you're in the labor force.
That's fascinating. I'm glad you broke that down. I'd never known that. I'm sure most folks wouldn't know that.
And that really becomes sort of critical to understanding what was going on at that time, because we had a lot of folks. Well, let's go back even a little further. In 2000, 2001, 2002, we had a lot of folks that lost jobs, in particular in manufacturing across South Carolina, and certainly a lot, very close to us here throughout the PD region. A lot of manufacturing jobs were lost, and those folks, in manufacturing in rural areas, when you lose a job, when a plant closes down, there's not many other opportunities, and so those folks will leave the labor force. They'll give up even looking for work, and they drop out of the labor force. Things start to turn around a little bit, a few more businesses start to open, the economy starts to grow again, jobs look like they're available again. All these people rush back into the labor force to start looking for work. So you have very rapid growth in the size of the labor force. If those folks aren't finding a job right away, they go from not even showing up in the statistics to showing up as being unemployed, and that keeps the unemployment rate up. More recently, some of that has started to slow down. The state's economy continues to create jobs at a pretty decent pace, and now those folks are finding those positions. And our unemployment rate is falling now, generally speaking.
Yes. That is fantastic, Don. I'm glad you broke that down here on Thanksgiving. Just the basics there, even the definition of low labor force.
Well, that's right. Well,
important to know.
We throw these terms around all. Economists and of course, politicians love to pick up on the economic data. So we're all throwing these terms around all the time. And we need to remember, we need to take the time.
I bet a lot of folks, even not to imply that politicians or others wouldn't know what they're talking about, but I bet a lot of folks don't know that labor force is oftentimes even just folks searching for a job. That's very important to know. And I was wondering why they didn't just change the definitions to have labor force is actually working, and then the almost working is the folks who are searching, or a searching labor force.
All these people, they need to get into Coastal or Horry Georgetown Tech and take some economics courses. And they'll learn
that's a great point. Yes, that's a great point. We were filming at Coastal last week and had some tremendous folks, and obviously being there and to see some of the great growth out on that campus. And of course, Horry Georgetown Tech's right next door. We're here at Tech now. Between these two campuses is that little new theme park. Did you know that the Hard Rock theme park was going to be here when you accepted the job in January?
Heard the rumors.
Or that it was reality? That's going to be a tremendous force here in the area.
It's amazing. I mean, it sure is fun for us with 4 kids to drive by and see the coasters going up. They get pretty excited. And I think, it has a lot of potential. It has incredible potential. I mean, we need to wait and see how it all pans out over the next year. But it could really be a significant source of employment and just publicity.
Sure. Folks investing $400 million to do the park, and then having just purchased $50 million some to invest another $300 million. That's almost $750 million right into ORE over the next 5 years or so. That's a big deal. Assumably, they've put some money aside to make sure they can continue to promoted to bring people in over the near term. So let's say they may have $1 billion in it over time. I haven't seen anything like that at ORE since I've been here.
No, that's right. I mean, you don't see investment like that very often. I mean, that does not come along very often. I mean, it's, the occasional BMW will come into an area and invest a lot. The occasional utility will build a new power plant, and that takes a lot.
Right.
But this is a huge capital investment.
That's a big deal.
And the other thing is, when folks are out there making that kind of capital investment, I mean, they're doing their homework. They're putting some time into making sure that that's what they need to be doing with their $100, $200, $300, $400 million. Right. So when you see something that large going in, there's been a lot of due diligence done already. And so that makes me, again, optimistic that that can work.
That some other things are going to dovetail, that I-73 will actually become a reality, that some of the penny sales tax, the roads, the Chairman Gillen with the pennies up there on the desk, and seeing that coming in, thinking billions or trillions of pennies will really impact the area. And that's important to think about as we look at the former back gate of the Air Force Base and the $50 million that will be invested into that, and Glens Bay Road and other key roads in ORE. There's lots of road building occurring all over the area, and dollars have to make that happen.
That's right. Well, we have a lot of transportation needs. We know that, and it's great to see that we're making progress.
What are a couple of the biggest needs that you see for folks sitting down for Thanksgiving today, for Thanksgiving lunch, things that they could be doing? Are there any things that locals could be doing, Don, to try to get ready for I know you looking at it as a positive 2008, but what are things they can do to try to make sure that it becomes a positive 2008?
Right. And let me say that, when you look ahead to 2008, I mean, there's a lot of positive signs out there. The economy the economy is still generating jobs. We have very low unemployment in this area.
Yes.
Horry County's unemployment rate is about the lowest in the state.
Is that right?
It's
of the 46
month to month. It's either us or it's Lexington County.
Right.
Occasionally, a Beaufort or York County will be in there too.
Right.
But I mean, most recently, we're sitting. The state average is, say, 5.7% or so. We're sitting at about 4.3, 4.4% unemployment, which is incredibly low.
Yeah.
We have a lot of positive factors going on out there that makes me think next year is going to be a good year for the local economy.
Right.
At the same time, I mean, that's not. I don't want to gloss over the fact that there's some negatives out there too. I mean, we have a housing market, we know, locally and across the country that's in real rough shape. I mean, it's tough to sell a house right now.
Right.
If you're if you're a builder or developer working in construction, if you're a realtor, if you're a mortgage broker, you know that this has been a pretty rough year, right? Activity, home sales locally are down 30% from where they were last year or more. Oil prices are pretty high, gas prices are pretty high. So there's negatives out there too.
Right.
And so that's why I say that generally speaking, there is a bit of uncertainty, certainly, around where the economy is headed next year. I think it's going to play out, that things are going to turn out to be pretty good. The economy is pretty resilient. But there are some reasons to be cautious, right? And that's what, down to the household level or individual businesses, you need to recognize that, I can be saying that I expect things to look pretty good in 2008. But, for certain individuals, for families that are trying to sell a house right now, it does not, that doesn't necessarily translate to them. It could be a rough time still. It could still take another 6 months or 12 months to sell that house. So I think, one of the themes that I always like to tell individuals is to keep in mind that your own situation, does not necessarily match up with what I'm saying the overall economy is doing. So
you don't want folks coming to see you at Coastal, Don, not happy. That's right.
Well, that's right. That's right. So if you're sitting there, trying to sell a house, or if you're a realtor trying to sell houses, or if you're someone that's that's working, a bit farther off in some of the rural areas, and you're working in manufacturing, you know that there's still tough times ahead, and things are not going to just all of a sudden, turn around and be incredibly strong again.
That's a great point.
So I mean, people know their individual circumstance. If you're feeling the pressure individually of what the economy is doing, then start making plans. Hopefully you can get in and you sort of adjust how you're budgeting money, try to set more aside in savings, try to avoid racking up, new debts and all of those kinds of things, just in case on an individual level things don't go as planned.
Those are great words, Don. Our Realtor of the Week last week in the Herald was highlighting a woman named Judy Lowe, was highlighting that folks are coming at ORE, they're checking out homes. The problem is they can't sell their homes in other areas
to
be able to move in here. So folks are coming in, they're looking at homes they'd really like to buy. They may even make an effort to put out a down payment. The problem is they're having to walk away from those because they just can't sell in other places. And that's very scary.
That's a problem for us. I mean, on the one hand, it's a good sign. That we're an attractive area. And when things turn around in Michigan and Ohio and throughout the Northeast, those folks are they're gonna come, and so that's why, you know, long term we're going to continue. We have a strong economy. We're going to continue to grow. Folks are going to continue to come into the area. It's this period right now where, like you say, they're trying to sell a house in Michigan where things are not looking nearly as good as they are in South Carolina right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The impact you want to have, Don, just the basics of what you want to do over your next many years here at the BB&T Center, the impact you want to have is just break it down to the basics. What's your biggest goal over the next 5 years, let's say?
Well, really, my biggest goal, first of all, is to sort of, you know, let people know locally and across South Carolina that coastal Carolina has the resources, and we're getting the resources in place to provide a lot of useful information, be it for businesses, for local state government agencies, or just individual households. You know, when they're looking for information, when they're looking for some work to be done related to economic conditions and economic trends, you know, we want to be, you know, the folks that they can come to try to get that information. One of the things that I wanted to do when I had the similar position at the business school at USC was to really sort of ramp up you know, how much information I was making available. And because of some constraints, I wasn't necessarily able to do everything I wanted to do. But here at Coastal, one of the things that I've already started doing that plays into that is to come up with every month sort of a monthly publication, a monthly economic update, which is going to look at what's happening nationally, statewide, and then the local economy along the Grand Strand. You know, give some discussion of what's going on. And some numbers, what's been going on, and what does it look like is going to be happening. So really, I think that's the goal, is just to you know, continue to provide those services to the local community.
Those are great goals. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for being with us this morning, Don, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Enjoy the turkey. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Don Schunk coming up next. You know, it's probably going to happen to my house. It may happen to you today. You may burn your turkey. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Focus on the long term. Focus on next year and the year after. You'll get it right. In the same way, we need to focus on the long term here. You at home may be having a tough time, either selling a house, buying a house, otherwise. Right now, focus on the long term. Folks continue to visit South Carolina. They're making this home. It's going to be a great, if not 2008 and 2009, it's going to be a tremendous 2010. Focus on the long term. Go online. Coastal.edu, click on research, check out the BB&T Center for Economic and Community Development, or pick up the phone, 843-347-3161. Coastal Carolina University and Don Schunk. Make it a difference. Happy Thanksgiving.